All right, so once again, I'm not reviewing the Apple Watch Series 11 today because I don't have one, nor do I have interest in reviewing one, but I feel like Apple is falling into this trap with the Apple Watch year after year because clearly they're having a hard time coming up with new features for it. I can't even blame them. The Apple Watches are amazing as is. I'm even very happy with my Series 5 ceramic because for the most part, I think people are using Apple Watches for notification management, some sleep tracking, activity tracking. Fairly old Apple Watches are still pretty good at those kinds of things, and they're probably getting a lot of pressure from the marketing team saying like, hey, we need to fill 5 to 10 minutes of the keynote with Apple Watch updates. You need to give us some more exciting news to cover, but they just can't come up with things. So I think they're getting more and more desperate, and the Series 11 I have to rant just a little bit on because I think they are reaching new heights and new levels of desperation when it comes to trying to make the Apple Watch feel brand new, when in reality, it's so darn near close to last year's model. And what they do at these events is they start announcing WatchOS features that very easily could have been announced at DubDub, but they save them for the Apple Watch announcement just to fill time. Things like the hypertension notifications, or even giving you a sleep score when you wake up in the morning. They act like this is a Series 11 feature, which genuinely convinces people, oh, I need to get the new Apple Watch to access this new health data or access this new sleep score functionality, when in reality, you go on the website and you figure out all Apple Watches that are running WatchOS 26, they're getting sleep score, or at least the last 2 generations of Apple Watch get the hypertension notifications. And it reaches new heights with the Series 11 for me because I realized this is the first time in a while Apple actually didn't even update the silicon, okay? They're pulling the iPhone 14 thing all over again, where now the S10 chip is in the Series 11, the exact same chip as the Series 10, and yet they're boasting about how, oh, the Series 11 has a way better battery life. It went from 18 hours to 24 hours. But then if you go into the tech specs, if you read the fine print on Apple's website, it turns out the battery life is not actually that much better. Basically, they're saying it lasts 6 hours longer, but within testing, it's not 6 hours longer of like general usage. It's the same test before, like reading this many notifications and looking at the screen this many times, but the 6 hours being added is purely of sleep tracking. So it is technically longer than before, but it's being listed as 6 hours longer in the use case where your Apple Watch is using basically as little power as possible. So I guess in the teardowns, they figured out that the physical battery capacity, because remember, it's the exact same chip as the Series 10, as in the Apple Watch is not magically more efficient or anything. I don't even think the display was updated. They just physically put in a 6 to 7% larger physical battery on the Apple Watch. But my problem with that is when they go into the tech specs and when they go into the marketing, they act like the battery life has been boosted by like 30%, saying it went from 18 to 24 hours. That feels like a big boost, when in reality, we're talking like less than 10% boost, which is not that noticeable, especially in day-to-day use. And after a year of degradation, this is a pretty small update. So when we ignore all of the WatchOS updates that are not exclusive to the Series 11 that you can still get on your Series 10, 9, and for some features, even down to the Apple Watch Series 6 is still gaining this functionality that they announce alongside the Series 11. But in regards to actual hardware physical changes, we're talking about Ceramic Shield 2, so slightly more durable Ion X glass, but still not anywhere near as good as the sapphire glass they use on the steel and titanium Apple Watches, and 5G support, which again, a ton of people are not even paying for cell data on their Apple Watches. And on top of that, if you go outside of the United States, a bunch of Series 11 Apple Watches don't even have 5G support anyway. So I guess my rant comes down to the Series 11 is literally, I think, this might be very well the smallest Apple Watch update in history. Like, no design changes, barely any spec upgrades. It's the exact same chip as before. I say this as still a big Apple fan. I have a lot of nice things to say about the iPhone 17 Pro. Using the front-facing camera, it's a great update. There's a lot of things I love about the new iPhone that I'll go into in my review, and I had almost nothing but positive to say about AirPods Pro 3 in my last video. These things are freaking amazing. They blew my expectations out of the water. The battery life is much genuinely better. They're not doing the tech specky trick where they're like, the battery life is 6 hours longer if you're not using the display and just using it for sleep tracking. Yeah, that's just a little fishy to me. So I give a lot of praise and a lot of credit to the Apple audio team, but specifically to the marketing team when it comes to the Apple Watch. I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, and I'm nearing the point where I feel like the Apple Watch probably shouldn't be updated every year. There's just no point anymore. It's probably one of those products that's similar to AirPods. We could go 2 to 3 years between updates, or similar concept with HomePods or iMacs. You know, they're not the kind of thing that needs to be refreshed every year. So I would rather them just not update the Apple Watch and take a couple of years before they're ready to actually talk about all of the new real hardware features and stop pretending like software features are exclusive when they're clearly not. How do you guys feel about the Apple Watch Series 11? Do you feel like it's still worthy of a number upgrade? Would you rather them wait a year until there's some new chip upgrades or maybe some battery efficiency gains that are real instead of marketing baloney where they try to trick people into thinking that the battery has increased by 30% when in reality it's increased by 6%? Feel free to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you all in the next one.